Hey there, Andrea Seidel here. I hope you're doing amazing. I'm so excited that we are back in action with the Live Life Happy Book Club. This is where we highlight books, we suck out all the actionable nuggets. And I'm so excited about this book because Wise Effort is the book that we're featuring today. And it's by Diana Hill. Such a good book. And I just want to say that I'm so excited to be picking back up the book club because I sort of set it down for a little bit, if I'm being honest. I was taking my master's in happiness study, which is all great things. And so I hit a pause. And then also, not to mention all the history of all the books, over 400 books actually that I featured on this podcast were removed. So let's talk about resilience. This is where you kind of go, oh my goodness. And anyway, so we're just starting fresh. We have a fresh start to this wonderful podcast again. And I'm just going to keep going through all these amazing book features related to happiness and positive psychology. And we're just going to go for it. So we're just going to keep giving you these amazing highlights, these summaries. Of course, these are actionable nuggets that I suck out. And that if something sparks your interest, to for sure purchase the book and support the author. And that way we can really deepen our learning and support these amazing authors because let's face it, we're all about celebrating books that change lives, but also the authors behind them. So let's jump into today's book. I love this book. It was so good on so many levels. It's called Wise Effort: How to Focus Your Genius Energy on What Matters Most. It's by Diana Hill, and she's a PhD. And some books, they feel like they arrive just at the right time. And I have to say that Wise Effort is one of those books for me. It's like, oh my gosh, where am I applying all my energy and where am I focusing? So what immediately stood out for me from this book is just how gently it really challenges us to look at things and look at growth, and that it doesn't have to be exhausting. And so Diana Hill really invites us to rethink effort effort in general, effort in and of itself, rethink effort. And think of it not as pushing harder and doing more, but as learning and learning how we can apply our energy in a more wise way. So she teaches us how to apply our energy in a way that feels aligned and a way that feels like we're aligned with what truly matters and not that slave driving push, push, push that we often have. I don't know about you, but sometimes my to-do list, my task list, my effort is just like going hard. And I just love this book, how it kind of pulls in the reins for us. And it's so powerful. So before we get into the content, I just want to take a moment to celebrate the author, Diana Hill. She is a clinical psychologist. She's an international trainer in acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, it's called for short. And she's someone who beautifully bridges science with lived experience. Her work is grounded, it's compassionate, it's really deeply human, which it shows on every page of her book, and just it's so great. So Wise Effort matters because it speaks to real life and real busy lives. Like we're all busy, but also it feeds our heart. It also helps us with our nervous system that might feel strained at times. And it also connects us to that human desire to grow without burning out. So are you ready? Do you want to grow without burning out? I know I do, for sure, for sure. So what I found really intriguing and thought-provoking within her book is that one of the most things that stood out for me in this book, Wise Effort, is the distinction between effort that depletes us and effort that actually supports our vitality. So there's a distinction here. She really makes this huge distinction. She distincts and she explores how so many of us are stuck in the cycle of over-efforting, is the way she put it, forcing change, or pushing through discomfort without listening to our inner signals. That was so intriguing for me and so common in my world. So what makes me pause in this moment and what she talks about, what's really aligned with happiness studies and well-being research, is this sustainable growth. And that sustainable growth isn't about constantly striving and grasping, but it's about valued aligned action. And that is profound. So value aligned action, taking action, putting effort where it's aligned with our values. And I also loved how her book really does reframe discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something that we need to eliminate, that sometimes a bit of discomfort can be information. It can provide us with an opportunity for growth or learning and something that we can work with. So look at discomfort in a reframed way is how she suggests in her book. It's something that we can work with, not something that is pushing against us or work against us. So the actionable or the things that I love about books is obviously sucking out the actionable nuggets. So how can we turn this learning into action? How can we turn this insight into action? So this book really does provide us with loads of practical applications and tools that feel actually doable rather than overwhelming. And some of the nuggets that stood out for me was that she talks about this idea of checking your effort style. So the question you might ask is, are you forcing? Are you avoiding? Or are you flowing? And just by simply noticing how you're applying effort changes everything. Are you forcing it? Are you avoiding something or are you in flow? Is it flowing? And this is just a matter of noticing effort. Notice how just noticing the level of effort. Is it forcing? Is it avoiding? Is it flowing? That's a good question. Like just check your effort style. And then the other thing she talks about in her book is this anchor effort to values. And I love this, right? So where am I putting effort? So for example, like I value good health. So where am I going to be putting my effort? So why am I putting all this effort into striving and overachieving and blah, 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 when, I could, if I'm putting effort into because I value good health, it's like I'm putting effort into my bedtime rituals. I'm putting effort into getting enough sleep and choosing super healthy foods. You can see how when effort is connected to what matters, it becomes more meaningful and it becomes more meaningful instead of draining. And so anchor your effort to values. I love that. And then she also talks about work with your nervous system, not against it. This is huge for me. I love this idea of like, where are we feeling frazzled, right? So wise effort, the way she words it, wise effort includes rest. It includes recovery. It includes self-compassion and pacing ourselves. It's not about always doing, and taking action. It can also be inaction. It can also be rest and recovery and self-compassion. I love this idea. And oh my gosh, I could so use this in my life. And so we want to work with our nervous system instead of against it. So in my own life, I've just noticed how this shows up. And so just by asking that simple question before saying yes to something, like, is this effort aligned? Or am I just pushing out of old habits? Or am I just pushing myself to exhaustion? That pause alone can be so transformative. So I just found like what moved me the most about wise effort is the kindness. It's the kindness that we can give ourselves, how it's woven throughout this entire book. And I love how she really teaches us that we need to give ourselves this deep permission to stop measuring our worth by productivity. She gives us this message. She gave me this message that, you know what, you don't have to be always productive in order to be successful, and giving yourself permission and honor your limits. Having wise effort is about honoring your limits. And remembering that it's not about measuring our self-worth with productivity, and that sometimes it can be pulling it back, and trust that there's growth in all of this. And so I really love this message. It feels so especially important in a world that usually celebrates hustle and busyness. And I love this wisdom that she has just so shared with us in her book. And so from a happiness perspective, this book really does reinforce this element of well-being, and how well-being actually grows when we learn how to care for ourselves. when we learn how to be wise with our effort, when we learn how to grow throughout everything. And so I really do love this. And I always say, okay, if I were to put one sticky note on the outside of this book, something that I don't want to forget, here's what it would say. I'm going to read it right to you, my sticky note. Effort doesn't have to be exhausting to be meaningful. When your actions are guided by values with compassion and self awareness, growth becomes sustainable. Oh my gosh, I love that. And then I also put wise effort is about listening. It's about pacing yourself. It's about choosing what really and truly matters again and again. So that's about it. So it's wise effort really does remind us that change doesn't require constant pushing and striving. It requires presence, it requires alignment, and it requires care. So, where in your life might less force be more wisdom? Where might you apply less force that can actually help you move forward? So that's it. Books really do change lives. I always say that, especially the ones that teach us how to live with more intention, compassion, and clarity. So here we are celebrating books that support our well-being and the authors behind them. Join us inside the Live Life Happy community where we turn great books into insight, action, and lived wisdom together.